Sinibingelele siphinde sinamukele eMakhaya TV. Kuyintokozo kakhulu ukuthi siphinde sibuye la sihlale nani, sixoxe nani. Sixoxe nani inkinga ezikhona la emhlabeni. Inhloso yethu kuyodwa uku-avoid abantu ukuthi bengazibulali, uku-avoid abantu ukuthi bengahambi bobulala abanye abantu ngeyinkinga ade ingakhulunywa zisolve. Ngixolise kwabantu ababuza ukuthi hawu Sithembiso iphi inamba nitholakalapi iphi i-email address. Cha ngikususile because of ama security reason. Khona abantu ade bezama ukuphazamisa inamba yethu. Kodwa bahluleka izobuya esi-strong. Namhlanje ke ngihambi ngedwa, ngihamba nosisi la uzoyichaza igama lakhe. Nisixolele bafethu usisi akayena mhlambe abantu enibajwayele ukuthi umZulu uzokhuluma isiZulu, uzokhuluma i-English. Nami ngizozama ukuthi ngikhulume ngesiZulu mhlawumbe ukuchaza ukuthi uthini. Keda vele abanye abantu abathanda English bazobe sebezwa kangcono ukuthi cha usisi uzothini ke. Vanilla, sorry to mispronounce your name. Sikubingelele siphinde sikwamukele eMakhaya TV. How are you?
I'm getting yourself.
No, we're good, we're trying. There are many things that are happening in life, but we're pushing. So people may like to know what's going on. Why are you here? Why are you with us today?
I'm practically here with you all today to discuss the challenges that I'm going through in life. Maybe the challenges that I'm going through in life can help somebody out there.
No, people will always insult me, say, hey, you guy, you talk too much. We want to hear the other story. We know you, we see you every day. What's going on?
Nothing much. Like practically what's going on right now where we seated, or practically what's going on in my life.
In your life?
In my life, it's like a roller coaster, if I might describe it. But there's a lot of things that are going on in my life. Right now, I'm facing a challenge going through hate crime, a whole lot of it. So practically, let me brief it down to you, right? I was working in a hotel last year. Then my contract came to an end in December. So January this year, I found out that my mom was actually sick with TB. And I tried my best to look for a job, so that didn't go well. So the only job that I found that was easy to get was to be an escort agent. So to be a male and dress up like a she-male as an escort agent and stand on the road it's actually challenging, because taxis would pass, they would say, I went a window, some of them will spit at me, some of them will come past, like in Range Rover cars or any car, you name it, will shoot me with paintball guns. Some of them will just come past and try to knock me. So basically, it's my life is kind of challenging being a female.
Then I want to understand the escort agents, because I'm confused. There are a lot of escort agents. Like when you're talking about footballers, there's something called escort agent. What are you talking about? I'm new in Durban, some things are new in. I can understand, but let's make someone who's watching to understand. What's that?
Well, being an escort is practically being a sex worker, which is one of actually the fastest growing business in our country. Every city, every country, you will find an escort.
Now I understand. Yeah, it's clear. I live in Durban, so I know what's happening. I see it every day. You're right when you say it's fast growing. But I want to understand something. You said when you are in the streets, people will throw insult, will say whatever they want to say. Yewena yasinyanyisa, yewena thina sifuna, maybe some will say yewena sifuna abantu besifazane thina. So kwenzani indoda. But your target market, I want us to start there. Look, there are some young ladies who go out there and say, no, we are targeting old married men or old successful men, those sugar daddies, those who are tired of their cocos at home. They buy us because they always say most customers are married men. So what are your when you wake up, say, now I'm going there, are you targeting everybody or you have certain targets?
Well, my target market, you're actually right. My target market is married men. So when I first started the business, I thought my target market would be actually white men, single one and married one. So just to find out, being a female in this industry, my highest target market has been young Indian men Muslim Indian men, and actually young African men and elderly married African men as well, and also such as taxi drivers, African Uber drivers as well. So that's my target market that I found out dressing up like this.
I like someone who doesn't have shame on their stories, who just go out and say it like it is. And you are those people that are rare in this world and in this country, because we have a problem here. Most people are hiding their feelings. Some people, they are from rural areas, and there they are Kuzimpi, whoever, Kuzimpi Ngobesa, I will use my surname. And they wake up every day, they are those, I'm a man. Then they come here in Durban, you see, no, this guy is no longer the guy I know at home. He's hiding something. Here in Durban, is living a certain life. When he comes home, it changes. And do you get those people as customers who will say, no, let's hide it?
I do get many, not to disclose on this person's name or identity, but one of my clients, he's also from the rural area, right? He's age 57. So he came to me one day, he saw me working with my Steve Madden stilettos with the black thorns in the front, and he gave me a lift. He told me that he envies my life. So I asked him, why do you envy my life? He's like, in my rural area, I had to grow up as a man knowing that I wasn't a man. I'm a she-male like you. How can you get to live your life while I can't? So he booked me and we kind of discussed how he can come out and live his life. So right now, practically giving him the talk, and basically now he's living his life in Durban, and he disclosed it to his family in the rural area. So the female side of his family accepted it, but the male side of his family didn't accept it. But he's kind of happy with his life right now.
What I like is that you said it before, that while you were working at the hotel, you found out that your mother was very sick and needed medical attention, which cost in South Africa is too high to give someone medical attention. You tried looking for employment, you didn't get. The easiest way to get employed was to be an escort agent. Then people are judging. You said that you're getting hate, you're getting judgments, because even if we are a lady, one will say, why are you doing it? You see? But I want to understand, before, while you were at the restaurant, were you considering that one day I may be, or did you have a relationship? How did your boyfriend accepted it, or you just said, no, this is my life, I just want to do it?
Well, actually, I didn't have a boyfriend because I broke up with my boyfriend in 2022. But when we were dating from the age of 17 right up until the age of 23, which was 7 years. So when I broke the news to my boyfriend, it was hard for him to accept it at first. But towards the end, first he said in the beginning I must try and dress up like a boy. So I did dress up like a boy, but you could see I kind of looked like a lesbian, and then most lesbians were hitting on me thinking I'm lesbian. So he said, no, I see you feeling uncomfortable dressing up this way. I know you like dressing up like a male only for work purposes. So he said, you know what, let me give you an opportunity to live your life while still dating you. It took some time for him to accept it, but he kind of grew fond of me by seeing me happy living my life.
Okay. How do you handle the competition, the hate, and the insult? Because when you're in the street, you are with the girls mostly, and you see some girls are getting picked up by Land Rovers, by those cars, whatever car, the girls are getting picked up. How do you feel when you see that, okay, maybe they neglect me because I'm like this, or maybe my customers are coming? How are you taking that situation?
I handle the situation actually very simply. Not to brag or anything, actually I'm the biggest competition over there. So when I do see it, okay, some days are quiet for me, like maybe example, my Mondays are quiet. So when I do see that, the best way I handle it is I go, because usually I always got backup in my bag. Maybe I'll be like, maybe it's the outfit. Maybe I'll change my outfit, like maybe I'll wear a gold dress, something that's attractive. Maybe I'll remove the fishnet stockings, put baby oil on my legs, make it shine, make it look soft. And maybe I'll change the heel, maybe I'll wear a tacky, or maybe I'll wear a different stiletto and add more makeup. Bronzer always works best for me because it gives me that shine on my face. And then when I look attractive, and then things pick up for me.
I want to understand something. The customers, because there's a place I'll mention in South Beach. At late night, you see ladies there doing their thing. What's happening when the customer come pick you up? Are you guys going to the hotel, or are you going to his house or where he rents?
Well, when a customer comes and picks you up, it's either you go to his house or you go to a lodge, which in South Beach there's plenty of lodges around.
So are there any concern of safety?
Because once you jump in a client's car, it's a high risk that the client might kidnap you. It's a high risk that maybe off the business, like maybe once you seal the deal, he pays you and he's supposed to drop you off. Maybe there's a risk he'll pull out a gun, shoot you, and ask back for his money. It's actually a high risk. That's why we always carry tear gas, we carry pepper spray, and we carry okapis just to keep us safe. And our bags are always open just in case.
So have you ever stabbed someone with the okapi? Now I'm afraid of you. Where's your bag? Oh, now we're safe.
I never stabbed anyone with an okapi before, but I did pepper spray someone.
Okay. I want to understand the hate you get from the street. How is the hate from? Because in the African way of growing, it took us some time. Like I will be clear with you. While I was growing in the rurals, I didn't know anything. I know that in this world there is a boy and there's a girl. And if you're a boy, you have to live in a certain way. If you're a girl, you have to live in a certain way. Then 2014, I came here to study at the varsity. Then I realized, no, there are many ways of living in this life. Then it took me some time to get used to it. Then by the end of 2014 until now I'm a free man. I know what's happening in the world and people are living their own life. But how was the life back home? Did they just accept it when you were still young, that your life is like this, or they didn't?
Well, they actually accepted it when I was a teenager. Because when I was 8 years old, I didn't know what's the difference between a girl and I didn't know what's the difference between a boy. So now that I'm old, when I was small, I played mostly feminine games like Gala Bodlela, 320, 310s, and netball and all of that female stuff. But I didn't consider it that I'm playing feminine games, and I was mostly attached more to females than boys. I never ever played soccer in my life. So mom didn't yet accept it at a young age, but her friends told her that your son is gay and he's going to grow up to be gay, just embrace it. So when I actually reached grade 7 in 2013, mom saw I started looking more feminine in my face. So she ended up accepting it when the teacher called her one day and said I mustn't wear beanies in class because they get confused if I'm a boy or a girl. And then that's when she came to terms, my friends told me that my child was this at a young age. It's time for me to accept it and support him.
No, she's a very caring and supportive mother. I wish every mother can be like that in this, and even fathers, because fathers are the most complicated in accepting their child's way of living. But I want us to come back to your business, because that's where you are right now. That's why you're experiencing difficulties and happiness. How profitable? Because I saw that you owning a house, or you were owning a house.
I'm currently still owning a house in Chatsworth in Walbridge East. Reason being why I'm not at home at the moment. When I was working last year, and when my contract ended, I kind of fell into debt. So it's either that I sell my house or I sign an affidavit to say I'm renting my house for 9 months to pay off all the debts that I'm in.
So now you're currently not living in the house because the house is working to pay the debts for you. Oh, now I understand. Yes. Then you are doing something in the side to keep you living. Yes. Where are you staying right now?
Currently, I stay here by 66 Pine Street, Zuleika Shelter.
Okay. How's the life in the shelter? Because like we have stories that if you are a sex worker, you guys are very, very, very rich. Then one may ask, how come you having a rich life? Maybe I don't know whether you'll be comfortable sharing the prices, but I may assume, I don't know, maybe it's 500 per hour or per. Sometimes I see prices like your prices are too expensive, but one may ask how. What's your plan?
Well, I'm not working on ads, so if I were to work on an ad, which is called redvelvet.com, it's actually 500 Rand for 30 minutes. And since I'm working on the outside, it's actually 350 Rand for 30 minutes, depending on what you want. So if you want full house and I'm on the outside, that will be 500 Rand. So full house consists of a bare blow job, nipple licking, rimming, and a happy ending.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to say it's cheap or it's expensive because one may see and get encouraged or one may see and get discouraged. But yeah, the price are the prices, yeah. So tell me, how do you see yourself growing this business? Because one may say, I don't want to go to the street, but I just want to be a guru who everyone knows where to get me. One may say, no, I want to end up owning an agent, like you mentioned, Red Velvet too. And I knew about Red Velvet last year. You know, I'm such a dumb guy. I don't know about what's happening. Everything seems new to me in Durban. Like, wow, okay, there's this thing called. How do you see yourself growing the business? Or maybe one day you want to quit and have another life. What are you playing?
Well, I'm only going to do this business until my debts are paid off. The whole reason what brought me in to do this business was actually my mom. So when she was sick, we were first staying in Springfield there by Panthers Hill. So I used to pay the rent there. I used to do grocery until the landlord kicked us out there. So I had to carry on working, and then I brought us here to Zuleika Shelter. So for rent for both of us per month, it's 2,450, which I have to pay for both of us. Still buy food on the side, clothes, and then I still have to do like personal toiletry shopping for the both of us. So if I have to leave the business, it's going to affect mom, and then she will end up being on the outside, which is something that I don't want to see. So, but I do plan on quitting and looking for a normal job.
So you're living with your mom by the shelter?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I understand. So how do you do it? Because you're wearing like expensive clothes, you're wearing expensive wig. I don't know whether it's a wig or it's a weave.
Oh, it's a wig.
And you're paying 2,400 is such an expensive money. Food and toilet, maybe your expenses are around 10,000 per month. How do you do it?
By the industry that I work in, you get some clients, like for example, if I'm lazy to work, let me make example on Tuesday and I don't want to go out, I just end up chatting to people on WhatsApp, trying to, I'm not going to say con them because it sounds very weird, but I ask them for help, but in a good way, and then maybe somebody will e-wallet 5, the next person will e-wallet 5 again, and then I got my 1,000 Rand. And then I end up taking mom, maybe I'll spoil her, we'll both buy outfits, I'll buy my weaves, I'll buy my makeup, and then pay rent for like maybe a couple of days, and then the next day I'll go out hustle and then pay the 2.4.
Yeah, no, I understand, it's very clear. While you're on the street doing your thing, have you ever experienced something like someone you did your service, now they don't want to pay and they started giving you new insults?
Didn't experience that at all because I'm going to be honest, sexually wise, I started becoming sexually active from the age of 14 until right now. So whatever I was doing in my relationship, I know how to do it in this business. Like a client that I was with told me the best compliment I had, I really know how to make a man feel like a man. So I haven't experienced that in anyhow. But I did experience where somebody paid me short fee and they started insulting me that, oh, I'm a female, why am I doing this business when there's females out here who are doing this business? And remember the incident I told you where I had to use my pepper spray on him.
So why did he like come to you from the first place? Because you're not hiding anything. It's not like you scammed him, you pretended to be a lady and now he found out in the room that you are not. Why now is starting to make changes? And about the other girls, are they experiencing this, or you guys are not talking? Because when you pass by the street, you saw someone is there. Is there a community where guys, are you all together, or someone is there for their stories and they are doing their thing, they go home?
Well, with the girls where I work, it's different. Like, I'm not going to disclose where I do work, but there's 3 streets. The street that I stand on, all the girls must wear high heels. That shows that our prices are up. Like the street where I stand at is a street where sex workers are doing it for their family, they're doing it for their kids to pay for school fees, etc. like this. Then the second street you get where girls are slightly lower, where they're just doing it for supporting their family and drugs. Then you get the third street where the girls are 50 rand, where they're just doing it for drugs only.
I once sat here with a old lady, a very grown woman, around 50s or 45 to 50 years. She was complaining that her man buys sex workers a lot and now he just neglected her. I want to ask you this question as a South African, as a human being who lives in South Africa, whether you're a sex worker or not, but because you are, you know the experience. Why do men, especially married men, buy sex workers?
Because they feel like there's many things that they can't do with their wife. Let me put it that way. With a sex worker, like, to be honest, many guys have fantasies, right? So maybe a guy in his marriage in his mind, he wants to have anal sex, but he doesn't know how to approach the wife in asking her for anal sex. Maybe he'll bring out a joke about it just to see how the wife reacts, and he sees the reaction is not going well. So that's when that client will come to me, because if the majority of the females don't offer anal, it's only the she-males and the gays out there. So a client will come up to me and say, hey, my fantasy is to try anal sex for the first time. I'll give you this amount of cash. Are you willing to give me that experience? And then that's when I give the client the experience. And there's a lot of fantasies that are out there that they can't do with their wife. Like some client, you can't go up to your wife and say, open your mouth, and then spit in your wife's mouth. So that's why they come to us sex workers to fulfill their fantasies.
Have you ever had someone, you do your things, then they paid you more than what you have asked, more than they overpaid you?
I had that experience where I wanted to negotiate my price with somebody and they were like, just jump in the car. So he just wanted like a massage with baby oil and rimming, and then he gave me 2.5.
Yeah, that was a lucky day.
I was kind of shocked. I didn't want to say anything. I was like, and I'm sitting in the room counting it and my mouth is just open, and then I didn't work for the next 2 weeks.
Now I get it. If you can have a proper job, you won't do it. Because if you say you got a huge check, then you decided to say, let me take a break. It's like, okay, now I have a man that maybe I can survive for 3 to 5 days. Let me stop working. But if he paid you maybe 100 rands, you were going to wake up tomorrow and work again so that you have enough money.
Exactly.
So if someone can say, let me give you a job, maybe you have a hotel experience, let me make you a hotel manager, you'll quit your job as a sex worker?
I'll quit my job definitely as a sex worker, but I also have other experience. I did work in call centers, I did do direct sales, I worked in catering as well, and I also worked in the beauty industry.
Yeah, you have so many talents, like a lot of it. No, okay. Before I say thank you for sharing your story, do you have another story where maybe we didn't touch that you wanna share with young men and young women who grow up in this South African, maybe especially I want to say it in rural areas where they have a life where they're feeling certain way, but they have to pretend because they are in a such community that will judge them. We insult them every day. Do you have something to share with us?
Yes, I do.
Please.
What I can say is because when I was 14 and I started dating somebody from Nthuzuma, Kachideba Nozaza Garage, I didn't want mom to know that I'm seeing another guy. So we used to do it undercover, like maybe we used to meet in town at the workshop, go out, book a room, do our business, or maybe I used to go over by his house as a friend, pretend like I'm sleeping over. Meantime, we know that there's definitely something brewing up. So for people in the rural area, it's best to do things in the shadows and then live like how your family wants you to live in the daylight. But at night, make sure that you do what makes you happy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone must be happy. Everyone must be happy with their decision. No, thank you, Vanilla. I like your name. Like, it's my favorite ice cream and my favorite chocolate if I eat chocolate. But vanilla, I like vanilla a lot. Thank you for sitting here with us. Your story will help a lot. There are so many individuals out there who are struggling to live their life to their fullest. But with you coming us to Emakhaya TV, sharing your story, and people have been wondering, oh, how do people do the sex worker life? What's happening there? But you have given us an insight. And what I like, you're willing to live it, but you can't just live it because there is the way of living right now. That's where you get income. Because at the end of the day, living in Durban is very expensive. If you live in Durban, you'll know that your move is, man, even to go to the beach, you can spend 200 by just moving there. So we all need money. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Hey, babuke lapha emakhaya niyasho ukuthi hey usithe kanti ukhuluma ngaka isingisi. Hey ngiyakhuphuka ngoJoji. Bafethu siyabonga ukuthi nibuke. Sithemba ukuthi abaningi bazosizakala ngevideo le esiyishareile namhlanje sihlezi no Vanilla. Ngoba la emhlabeni into emnandi la eMakhaya TV we have a slogan, we don't judge. And what I like here, we don't talk about someone, we are talking with you about your story. You're not telling us about you as Hlebi. Like we're giving real stories with real people. Lapha emakhaya into engayisho nje ukuthi namhlanje siyavalelisa siyaze